Most men completely misunderstand one of the most intimate dynamics between men and women, asking for intimacy. They think it's about being direct, playful, or even needy. But here's the shocking truth. When you ask the wrong way, you don't just risk rejection, you silently kill attraction. And the worst part? You might not even realize why she suddenly pulls away. Women don't respond to words alone. They respond to the energy, presence, and psychology behind those words. The surprising part is this. You don't actually need to ask in the way most men imagine. Intimacy is not negotiated, it's invited. It's not about forcing a moment, it's about creating a frame where her feminine energy naturally leans into your masculine leadership. So the real question isn't, how do I ask her for intimacy? The real question is, how do I position myself so she wants me to ask and welcomes it with desire instead of resistance? That's the psychological trick most men will never understand. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to approach intimacy with stoic confidence, so you lead the moment without losing your masculinity. Examples of body language and attitude that invite intimacy. A man's words often matter less than his presence. Women are acutely tuned into nonverbal signals. Your posture, your tone, your touch, and your ability to hold silence all communicate more than 1,000 sentences ever could. If you want to invite intimacy without begging for it, here are the practical examples of what a stoic man embodies. First, posture. Stand or sit in a way that conveys certainty. Shoulders relaxed but broad, breathing calm, and movements deliberate. Quick, nervous fidgeting signals weakness. Slow, intentional movements radiate control. When a woman feels your physical stillness, she senses your emotional stillness. Second, eye contact. Not the wide-eyed stare of a man hoping for approval, but the steady, grounded gaze of a man who is sure of himself. Hold her eyes for just a moment longer than normal. Let the silence breathe between you. That pause is not empty, it is charged. It tells her without words that you are leading the energy forward. Third, touch. Subtle, deliberate touch on her hand, the small of her back, or her shoulder can communicate volumes. The difference lies in the intent. A weak man touches to see if she's okay with it. A strong man touches as if he is already accepted. That quiet certainty invites her to lean in instead of pull away. Finally, your voice. Speak slowly, with pauses, as if you are in no rush. Women are naturally drawn to the rhythm of calm authority. When you combine voice, eye contact, posture, and touch, you create a frame where intimacy feels like the natural, inevitable step. The stoic man doesn't chase intimacy, he becomes the gravitational force that pulls it toward him. How Stoicism transforms the way a man approaches intimacy. Stoicism is not just a philosophy for handling adversity, it's a powerful framework for attraction and intimacy. At its core, Stoicism teaches mastery of the self, control over emotions, detachment from outcomes, and the ability to act with clarity instead of impulse. When applied to intimacy, these principles change everything. Most men approach intimacy from a place of uncertainty. They worry about being rejected, overthink what to say, and attach their sense of worth to a woman's response. But the stoic man detaches from outcome. He knows that his value doesn't depend on her yes or no. This detachment frees him from desperation, and paradoxically, it makes him far more attractive. The stoic man understands that intimacy is not about proving himself. It's about expressing his natural masculine energy. He approaches the moment not as a performance, but as an extension of who he already is. When he leads, he does so calmly, because he has already accepted whatever result may come. This calm detachment is magnetic. Women feel safe when a man is not ruled by insecurity. Another stoic principle is presence. Instead of being trapped in his head, he anchors himself in the present moment. He notices her breathing, her subtle cues, the rhythm of her body language. He listens more than he talks, allowing silence to build tension. This mindful awareness amplifies intimacy because she feels deeply seen. Why a man's true power lies in his energy. Before he even speaks, long before you say a single word, a woman has already decided how she feels about you. This decision doesn't come from logic, it comes from energy. Women are natural detectors of masculine presence. They read your posture, your breathing, your confidence, and even the silence you carry. That's why your true power in intimacy begins before your mouth ever opens. Weak men rely on words. They think charm, lines, or verbal persuasion will win her over. But women are not persuaded into intimacy. They are moved into it. And what moves them most is the unspoken authority of a man who radiates certainty. His presence fills the space without needing to dominate it. His energy signals, "I know who I am. I am not shaken." That silent message speaks louder than any sentence could. This is why the Stoic man has an advantage. He cultivates inner calm, so his external energy communicates strength. He doesn't rush. He doesn't fidget. He doesn't over-explain. Instead, he allows the tension of silence to work in his favor. That stillness becomes magnetic because it makes her feel that he is grounded, immovable, and trustworthy. When you walk into a room or sit beside a woman, your energy is already telling a story. Is it the story of a man who needs validation, or the story of a man who could walk away without flinching? Women respond instantly to this silent narrative. And here's the secret. When your energy already radiates masculine certainty, intimacy no longer needs to be asked for. It is welcomed. The power of presence begins before the first word, and if you master that, you never need to beg, negotiate, or chase. The fatal mistakes men make when they think they're creating intimacy. Most men don't fail with women because they lack desire. They fail because they misinterpret what intimacy truly is. They confuse intimacy with neediness, with performance, or with seeking validation. And in doing so, they make fatal mistakes that instantly kill attraction. The first mistake is over-verbalizing. Men who talk too much about intimacy, hinting, asking, begging, strip away the mystery. Desire thrives on tension, not endless negotiation. When a man fills every silence with chatter, he signals nervousness, and nervousness destroys polarity. The second mistake is rushing. Many men push for intimacy too soon, as if speed equals success. But pressure creates resistance. Women need to feel invited, not cornered. A man who tries to rush intimacy communicates that he fears the moment slipping away. That fear makes her retreat. The third mistake is trying to impress. Weak men often act as if intimacy is a reward they must earn through performance, jokes, compliments, or overcompensation. But the moment you act like intimacy is a prize outside of you, you lower your value. Intimacy should never be a pursuit. It should be the natural result of your presence. The fourth mistake is inconsistency. A man who shifts between confidence and insecurity confuses women. One moment he's bold, the next he's hesitant. That instability feels unsafe, and no woman will surrender into intimacy if the frame is chaotic. The truth is simple. Intimacy cannot be forced, negotiated, or begged for. It emerges when your energy is steady, your leadership is quiet, and your presence makes her feel both desired and safe. The Stoic man avoids these traps by embodying self-control. He doesn't chase intimacy, he allows it to gravitate toward him. How the Stoic man turns intimacy into emotional leadership. For most men, intimacy is a purely physical act, but for the Stoic man, it becomes something far greater, an arena where he demonstrates emotional leadership. Women don't just want a partner in intimacy. They want a man who can guide them into vulnerability with strength, calm, and presence. That's what makes the Stoic approach so powerful. Emotional leadership begins with self-control. The Stoic man doesn't let his desire overwhelm him. He feels it fully, but he doesn't let it rush him or dictate his behavior. This control creates a space where the woman feels free to let go. When she senses that his emotions are steady, she feels safe to surrender her own. The Stoic man also leads by setting the tone. He doesn't need to raise his voice, force his will, or pressure her. Instead, he creates an atmosphere of calm intensity, a balance of strength and gentleness. His touch is firm yet controlled. His words are few but charged with confidence. She can relax because she knows he is in command of himself, and by extension, of the moment. This kind of leadership is not domination, it's guidance. The Stoic man respects her pace, but he does not abandon his role as leader. He reads her cues, responds with patience, and ensures that intimacy feels like a shared flow rather than a transaction. The result, intimacy stops being about physical release and becomes an experience of deep polarity. She feels feminine because his masculinity gives her space to be. He feels powerful because he leads without losing himself. This is emotional leadership in its highest form. The Stoic man doesn't just have intimacy, he elevates it into connection, trust, and respect. The female psychology behind intimacy. To understand how to ask a woman for intimacy, you first need to understand what intimacy means to her psychologically. For men, intimacy often begins in the physical. Desire builds, attraction sparks, and the man feels ready to act. But for women, the process is layered, emotional, and deeply connected to safety. Older or younger, women share a similar instinct. Intimacy is not just physical, it is psychological security. She needs to feel that the man she allows into her space is not only attractive, but grounded, steady, and worthy of her trust. This is why so many men fail. They rush into the moment with neediness, verbal pressure, or nervousness, and in doing so, they signal the opposite of safety. The result? Resistance. Here is the paradox. Women don't want to be asked in a transactional way. If your words feel like a request for permission, it breaks the natural polarity between masculine and feminine energy. She doesn't want you to beg or negotiate. What she truly desires is to feel your masculine certainty, your quiet leadership, and your ability to hold the moment without flinching. Psychologically, intimacy for a woman is about surrender. But surrender is only possible when she feels your presence is strong enough to guide her into that moment. If you doubt yourself, if you hesitate, if you frame intimacy as something you hope for, she immediately feels the imbalance. The man who succeeds is the one who embodies stillness, strength, and direction. He doesn't push. He doesn't plead. He creates the space where her feminine energy naturally leans into him. And intimacy becomes the natural conclusion, not the awkward negotiation. The trap of weak men asking for intimacy. Here's the brutal truth most men never want to hear. The way weak men ask for intimacy kills desire before it even begins. They approach intimacy from a place of neediness, insecurity, or fear of rejection. Instead of embodying masculine certainty, they broadcast uncertainty, and women pick up on it instantly. Think about it. When a man nervously asks, "Can we?" or "Do you want to?" he unconsciously places the woman in the position of decision maker. He hands her the masculine role, and she immediately feels the weight of leadership on her shoulders. This destroys polarity. Attraction fades not because she doesn't desire intimacy, but because he sabotages it with hesitation. Weak men also make the mistake of over-verbalizing. They talk too much, seek constant reassurance, and attempt to negotiate attraction as if it were a business deal. But intimacy is never negotiated, it's sparked. When a man reduces intimacy to a question of approval, he signals dependence on her validation. That psychological frame suffocates attraction and turns the moment cold. Older women in particular see through this pattern quickly. Their experience has sharpened their instincts, and they can sense weakness in a man's approach almost immediately. To them, insecurity feels like emotional chaos, and chaos is the last thing they want to invite into intimacy. The painful reality is this: when men ask from a place of weakness, they don't just lose the moment, they lose respect. Women crave strength, certainty, and presence, not desperation. The trap of weak men is believing that intimacy is granted through permission, when in truth it is inspired through confidence. The Stoic psychological trick to invite intimacy. Now let's break down the psychological trick that separates the average man from the Stoic masculine man. The secret is subtle but powerful. You don't ask for intimacy. You create the frame where intimacy becomes the natural outcome. Instead of saying, "Can we?" or "Do you want to?" the Stoic man uses presence, silence, and decisive leadership. He communicates through energy more than words. A touch on her hand, eye contact held a little longer, a pause that carries weight. These are signals of confidence. When you guide with calm certainty, she feels your direction without you having to spell it out. Here's the trick. You replace asking for permission with leading the moment. This doesn't mean being forceful. It means embodying composure so strongly that her feminine energy naturally flows into your masculine leadership. The Stoic man isn't desperate for an answer. He is grounded in himself. If the moment is right, intimacy unfolds effortlessly. If not, he remains unshaken. That emotional control is magnetic. Psychologically, women test for this presence. They want to feel that a man can hold the weight of the moment without crumbling. When you demonstrate that your desire doesn't make you needy, but instead flows from your strength, she relaxes. Her guard drops. Her body and mind align with your certainty. The key is subtle dominance. You are not seeking approval, you are setting a direction. She chooses to step into it, not because you begged inviting intimacy without words of weakness. Emotional anticipation. Leading. Without words beyond presence, the Stoic man cultivates emotional anticipation. This means he feels and subtly signals what is about to happen before she does. Women respond instinctively to men who can create a flow of energy, tension, and release without needing verbal confirmation. It's not about predicting her every move. It's about setting the emotional frame so she subconsciously aligns with your intentions. Every glance, every slight touch, every pause becomes part of a silent dialogue. She doesn't consciously know why she's drawn in, but her feminine energy instinctively leans toward the stability, certainty, and calm strength you radiate. Men who fail often react to her signals instead of leading them. The Stoic man, however, subtly guides the emotional rhythm, creating a magnetic pull where intimacy becomes a natural outcome. The power of absence, desire through space. Another secret the Stoic man uses is strategic absence. Women respond to energy, not constant availability. When a man is overly present, over-texting, or too eager, desire diminishes. Absence, when balanced with confidence and presence, creates tension, intrigue, and craving. This is not about ignoring her. It's about maintaining emotional equilibrium. By being self-contained and grounded, you allow her to feel your value without you having to assert it verbally. She naturally notices your calm composure, your self-respect, and your steady energy. This absence paradoxically draws her closer, amplifying attraction and making moments of intimacy far more powerful. Final conclusion and call to action. Intimacy is not about begging, convincing, or performing. It's about presence, energy, and Stoic leadership. Women don't respond to words alone. They feel the man's confidence, composure, and emotional strength. The Stoic man doesn't ask for intimacy. He creates the energy, the tension, and the frame where it naturally unfolds. From mastering emotional control to leading the moment with calm authority, every action, glance, and pause contributes to a magnetic presence that women instinctively trust and desire. By embodying Stoic principles, you transform the way you approach intimacy, making it effortless, powerful, and deeply connected. If you want to become the man who commands desire without chasing it, who inspires attraction through silent authority, and who masters female psychology like few men ever will, this is your path. Take action now. Like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to unlock more insights on Stoic masculinity, high-value attraction, and female psychology. Share your thoughts in the comments. What psychological secret surprised you the most? Don't stop here. Explore more of our videos to learn how to lead relationships, inspire desire, and embody the Stoic energy that women naturally gravitate toward. Your mastery of intimacy begins with presence, composure, and Stoic leadership.